Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching from. We're at Euroclash again, as we have been all weekend, here in cold Newcastle. And this is getting ready for game 8 of the weekend, which is going to be Tiger Bay Brawlers taking on the home side, Newcastle. I'm Sven, I'm here with Painbow. And we're going to run you through the rosters as well, about 17 seconds. So I'll start you off with Newcastle, and if we will jump into Tiger Bay in the interval between Jam 1 and 2. So we've got 000 Drama Bomb, 028 Smash, 1038 Fraulein Catastic, 104 Peregrine, 11 Helen Drew, 135 Tink Rebel, 22 The Rottweiler, 27 Hit 1 Pearl 1, 495 Eradicate, 540 Charlotte the Pain, 6 is Fifi La Bomb, 79 is Spangled, 82 is Shred, 86 is Terry Subrin, and 91 is Pretty Skate Machine. And as we say that, we've got Plant for Tiger Bay is already in and flying with lead for Tiger Bay.
Yeah, so Plant already, I was going to say already on a scoring pass, has actually already completed the first scoring trip through the pack in the time it took you to rattle through the rosters, which is quite impressive from Tiger Bay. We've got Peregrine up jamming for Newcastle. Is that a star pass? See that Drama Bomb being recycled to the back. Looks like Peregrine's at the front.
Drama Bomb has the star in hand.
Something we saw a lot of yesterday was star passes to Drama Bomb. Unfortunately caught up at the back there on that wall. That looks like Kid, Charismatic and Pip Gray.
Not a great trio to be stuck behind. Plant gets through for a 4-point pickup. This pack just rolling Drama Bomb all the way back to turn 2.
Yeah, 16 points already on this jam for Tiger Bay, and Plant. This scoring trip would put them at 20, which is quite a mark to put on this first jam of the game.
Drama Bomb is out now, completing that initial pass, but Plant shuts down the jam. Big opening jam for Tiger Bay.
Yeah, huge comeback for them. They had a bit of a shaky game against Lom yesterday. That was one of our biggest, or possibly the biggest upset of the day. That score against Lom, so they've clearly come out this morning, fresh start, clearly putting their mark on this game. That looks like Eradicate and Rogue Runner. Eradicate with a little run up there, Rogue Runner straight into the back of the pack, getting a little bit of offensive help from Nuka at the front. Still trying to find space. Newcastle's defence this weekend has been absolutely incredible. It's so fluid and dynamic, holding Rogue Runner for 20 seconds so far in this jam. And picking up lead now. Eradicate out with the first lead of the game for Newcastle Roller Derby. Rogue with the star stash now pivot up at the front there, bracing that tripod. Tiger Bay putting all 4 blockers on defence now against Eradicate. And as I say that, this pivot, that's Evans. And again, Evans took a lot of star passes yesterday for Tiger Bay. Oh, but have we got a "you are not the jammer"? So Rogue going to have to try and get that back. Oh, and Evans has gone to the box?
Yeah, so Evans picked up the penalty as pivot, which means not eligible to take the star pass at that point. So a bit of confusion there, and the star currently sitting in the infield as Helen Drew goes to the penalty box. So a slightly reduced blocker line at the moment, but it's still a blocker advantage to Newcastle right now. 3 plays 2 as Nuka tries the recycle on Eradicate.
Yeah, that was a big hit out from Nuka. Some of Tiger Bay's blockers are a pack advantage all on their own.
Do you want to run us through the Tiger Bay team? We're playing in orange, of course, today.
Yeah, so we've got 101 Nuka, 108 Crash Landers, 18 Charismatic, 22 Rogue Runner, 31 Plant, 40 Kid, 45 Hawk, 48 Ward, 5 Enemy, 59 Wild, 6 Evans, 62 Pip Gray, 81 Angie, 88 Kemp, and 999 is Angel. And that is Spangled and Angie on the jam line for these 2 teams. Our Clementine Services jam line.
And Spangled out with lead for Newcastle.
Second lead in a row for Newcastle.
So we were discussing a bit before this game, obviously Tiger Bay are going to be playing in the next game as well, so we weren't sure how Tiger Bay were going to be playing this, but just from that opening jam, it looks like they're actually still going at this as if it was, you know, as if they haven't got a game next against Gothenburg.
Yeah, a couple of changes to the charter from yesterday. I think a couple of Geordie not playing, Thorne not playing, so potentially being saved for the next game. But every game is important, like, because of that points differential. They still need to win this game, and they still need a strong win.
Star pass to Evans for Tiger Bay. Spangled sees Evans coming round turn 3, calls off the jam.
Yeah, Evans another prolific taker of star passes yesterday. I think pivots taking star pass has been one of the stories of this weekend. I think really beautifully positioned pivots we've seen from several teams this weekend.
2 more jammers out on the Clementine Services jam line. For Newcastle, we've got Rottweiler, and it's Crash Landers for Tiger Bay. Rottweiler had a great game yesterday. Really powered through some of those defences to get lead quite a few times when they were on track. Looks like Rottweiler is trying to do the same, but just getting held up. I think it was by Evans again, maybe, on that turn 1-2 apex. And it's Crash Landers. It's burst through that turn 2 apex to pick up lead for Tiger Bay.
Evans, I think it's 3 jams in a row for Evans because of that penalty going into the previous jam. Crash Landers now looking for space on the out, but recycled back by the pivot from Newcastle.
Terry Sudren with that knockout. Rottweiler has star in hand. Terry Sudren is the pivot, and again took a lot of star passes yesterday in those Newcastle games.
Yeah, Terry Sudren real standout, as you would expect from Terry Sudren yesterday, both in terms of taking star passes and blockers. Put some good points on the board as well, if I remember rightly, for Newcastle yesterday.
And one of the things that everyone's remarked on this weekend is how good Newcastle have been at containing when they get their blockers in that like solid 3s and 4s, which we just saw at the front there with Shred and Charlotte Payne just joining up to create that wall. Great offense though by Tiger Bay just to get Crash Landers through.
Yeah, just managed to find a little bit of space on the inside there. Again, Crash Landers taken to the out and again recycled back to the back of Terry Sudren. A very sneaky amazing. How did Terry Sudren stay in bounds there with that hit from Evans on the inside line? That was such a good, quick, sneaky star pass. I'm coming back to do offense. Oh, no, I'm not. I've got the star. So forcing Tiger Bay to call that.
So we've already had 7 minutes played. Score 14 Newcastle, 32 Tiger Bay. So we haven't looked before. The last time these two teams met was actually at Euroclash in 2018 in the very dome that we're sitting in.
Amazing. And the score in that one, I think you said was, so Tiger Bay took the win in that one 161 to 115.
Yep.
So our predictor for today was 217 to 83. But the way Newcastle have played this weekend, I expect to see a much closer score than that.
So we're in a team timeout. So we'll just give a shout out to our amazing tournament sponsor, Clementine Services. When it comes to your home, reliability matters. Clementine, the reliable choice for all your property repairs. So they're sponsoring all of our volunteers. So if you see any in the cameras, any of our volunteers walking around wearing those amazing bibs, they've paid for all of those. They're sponsoring Newcastle for the year. They've put a lot of effort and cash and thought into helping us put this tournament on, and it's without sponsors like Clementine stepping up, championing in the northeast and the north of England with what they do, what we do. We couldn't put on this, so thank you, Clementine, for all your support and for the big boxes of Clementines that have been dotted around the dome.
Those have been greatly appreciated by everybody. So we have got Peregrine and Plant on the Clementine Services jam line. Plant looking for space on the in, but meets the shoulders of Pretty Skate Machine. So that tripod reforming there. Newcastle with a blocker in the box, so not able to give Peregrine any offensive help, and that has helped Plant to pick up lead for Tiger Bay. Somebody's got a direction. Plant sliding through there for 4, almost unnoticed.
Yeah, quite a few blockers there heading to the box. Fraulein, Katastic with an out of play. Kemp was picked up that direction for Tiger Bay.
A Pretty Skate Machine with another big hit on Plant, this time to the outside line, forces Plant to call off the jam. picked up 3 points on that second scoring trip, takes Tiger Bay to 39 points. Newcastle sitting on 14. So both teams with one blocker in the box. It'd be interesting, we were saying yesterday, Tiger Bay's 2 walls are really, really good and dynamic. Like, they're very capable of holding a jammer with just 2 of them. Looks like they are going to put all 3 on defence to start with, but I wouldn't be surprised if they drop one to offence. Not that Rogue needs it, and Rogue has picked up lead.
Yeah, that body sphere from Rogue just to change the inertia and keep in bounds is impressive to watch. And again, one of these players who you can't underestimate, because people have seen Rogue do that for years. That's why Newcastle obviously had to line up full defence against Rogue, and we've had another star pass to Terry Sudren. But Rogue shuts down the jam with a 4-point pick-up in that pass.
Rogue's one of those jammers I've been watching for over a decade and will never get bored of watching Rogue jam. So we saw yesterday Newcastle as well, occasionally with a little bit of penalty trouble, never for more than a couple of jams in a row, but quite frequent times where there was 2 blockers in the box simultaneously. False start warning there for Charismatic, and drawback joins Pip Gray at the back, and again that 2-wall but not successful.
Eradicate gets through for lead, but does pick up someone picks up the low block. Just seeing who that was. That was Pip Gray. So this is Eradicate's chance to put some score on the board. Newcastle have been scoreless for the last 3 jams, so this might be the chance, and that's at least 3 points going up there.
Nuka there rejoining, coming back out of the box, turning that 2-wall into a 3-wall. Big recycle back from Kidd at the back.
So we've had the star pass for Tiger Bay. Now over to Charismatic, but Eradicate takes the opportunity to call off the jam and gets those points on the board. 4 going up for Newcastle.
That'll be good, because I think they've been scoreless for a couple of jams
Yeah,
in
it was
a row.
3 previous to that before Newcastle had put any points up.
And that's the thing with Tiger Bay, their 2 walls are really strong, but we saw at the beginning of that jammer, actually, whenever the jammer does manage to find a gap past that 2-wall, all of a sudden then they're out. So it is a risky business, because when it works, it's beautiful and amazing.
And we're back with Crash Landers against Spangled, and Spangled gets that early lead and picks up lead. Crash Landers now held behind Helen Drew, and I think hit 1, pearl 1, looking for the star pass. Goes to the outside though, so no star pass. Spangled is through for picking up the first 4.
I think that was a star whip from Evans.
Any way you can get through, there's nothing that says you can't use a star for a whip.
No, I love it. I'm very here for it.
So Newcastle again picking up 4 in that one, shutting out Tiger Bay, bringing the score 22-43.
So yeah, Pip Gray sitting a double penalty by the look of it. So a low block.
Low block
and then a misconduct.
Yes.
So not leaving the track in a timely fashion or correctly. Oh, those toe stops didn't quite come off there for Plant, forced to reset back. And that tripod there. Newcastle not able to drop anyone for offence. High block picked up by Drama Bomb. So Plant only with 2 to beat. Tiger Bay with 4 blockers on track. Terry Sudren looking to give offence.
Rottweiler now just being held in that middle, but Terry Sudren's doing a great job trying to can open between Kidd.
So big drawback there on the Rottweiler. And Plant with a little bit of trouble at the front, but does complete that scoring trip. Slightly chaotic feel to this jam.
Drama Bomb back into track now and immediately picks up Plant, but Plant rolls to the inside to get that pass complete. Calls off the jam. Another 8 on the board for Tiger Bay in that one. 51 plays 22 now at the 17-minute remaining mark of this first period.
So we've got ourselves another repeat of our jammer matchup from the first jam. Rogue up against Peregrine on our Clementine Services jam line. Newcastle with the quick run back there on 5 seconds. Tiger Bay with slightly split up wall there. Evans giving Rogue some offence. Peregrine battling at the front. And that is a penalty going to Evans. But both jammers out. Oh, and if there's any jammer you don't want to be up against in a foot race, it's got to be Rogue Runner. Peregrine doing amazing then to keep up with Rogue, forces Rogue to call off the jam, but not before Rogue manages to pick up 2 points.
If you were going to put some jammers up against Rogue, though, in a foot race, in a skate race, I think Peregrine is one of the ones who can keep up that pace with Rogue Runner.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, forcing Rogue only past one blocker, gets the not on the track point for the blocker in the penalty box. Tiger Bay starting with only 2 blockers on track. Eradicate taking a bit of a run up. We've seen Eradicate get lead for Newcastle already. Beautiful work there from that 2-wall of Pip Gray and Charismatic, and now both jammers being recycled.
It's good old clockwise derby.
Yeah. And Plant taking advantage that you can cut your own teammate, but it is Eradicate with lead for Newcastle.
Big hit to the inside from Smash with the recycle as well. Plant now star off. Going to be looking for Evans for the star pass. Good work from Smash though, just to keep Evans and Plant apart enough, but Evans now has got the star. And Eradicate gets the call from the bench to call off the jam.
Yeah, not willing to take the risk there and try and get the extra points at the back, which they potentially could have tried for, but early stages in this game, they've actually got quite a good differential. Another 4 points up on that scoring trip. So still 1 in the box for Newcastle.
And it's going to be Spangled versus Angie.
Again, tight scrum here. Angie at the back. That is a 2-wall, becomes a 3-wall from Newcastle.
Spangled just getting recycled all the way back by Wild.
A little bit of a tumble on the inside line. Neither of these jammers are able to find any space, and as soon as they find what they think is a bit of space, it's filled with a blocker. But as I said, that Angie has again turned me into a liar and has found space and is out with lead for Tiger Bay. But Spangled maybe half a lap behind now. Newcastle running away from that offence.
This pack really speeding up here. Newcastle trying to save some points and give Ange a chance to catch. Let's see how many was picked up there. 2 points only picked up, so good work by Newcastle, just speeding that pack up. You could hear the bench screaming at them to save their points.
Yeah, points protection, so important. Little whip from Wild, I think, helped Angie just to pick up those 2 right at the end.
And it's going to be Plant lining up against Tinkerbell.
First jam out in this game for Tinkerbell, but had a great game yesterday.
Had some very good games yesterday, some very good jams yesterday. Very strong on the lead percentages in, I think it was the first Newcastle game.
Yeah, I think it had 80% lead at one point in that game in the second half, which, considering Newcastle coming into this tournament as the lowest ranked team here.
And as we say, that adds to those lead percentage stats for the weekend with another one picked up by Tinkerbell. Goes low to the inside, but getting rolled out and run back by Charismatic.
Managed to get back on track quick enough actually to avoid that big recycle. Pulls off that jam, picked up 3 in that scoring trip. Takes Newcastle to 29, so there's only a 26-point differential. So considering we were expecting roughly a 5-2, or we were told to expect a 5-2 score ratio from this game. So Rogue up against Peregrine on the Clementine Services jam line. Again, Terry Sudrum with offence off the line, but Peregrine not taking it, but has picked up lead. Rogue nearly out there on the inside, but reset back, manages to dart round those blockers. And again, Newcastle with 2 blockers in the box. Were they going to run this jam to try and clear the penalty box? No.
So I think it looks like Terry Sutherland picked up the forearms on the block out to Roadrunner that allowed that lead to be picked up. But then obviously also having Fraulein Katastic sitting in the box as well, it's a bit too risky to kind of try and...
Especially against Rogue.
Yeah.
Like, really, you want 6 blockers on track minimum, I think, against Rogue. 2 is a risk.
I mean, I would start quoting rules violations there, but I'm sure some teams have tried it at some point.
Maybe they won't notice. I think they will. Our ref crews have been spectacularly on it today. I don't think they're missing anything.
It's a 4-on-2 pack advantage at the start. Back to 3 now. Eradicate trying to get through, star in hand, but Plant is already on the first scoring trip.
And again, that really, really dynamic tripod from Newcastle at the back. They're so quick to get back together again. They're so quick to get back in front. Eradicate's still working on that tripod. Again, Terry Sudrin looking to give either some offensive help or take the star, and there it goes. There's the star pass to Terry Sudrin. And Plant looks to the bench, calls off the jam, and we've seen, not only have we seen really good star passes, really good pivot placement, but we've also seen some pivots do some real damage when they've got the star on this weekend. And
we're actually seeing, so thanks to Duke Special, our amazing producer here, slinging stats and watching the trends, neither team at the moment is kind of settled into, you know, that normal jam rotation that you get where, you know, every third jam it's going to be this player, and you get the same jammer matchups coming out. Both teams must be like adapting, trying to change, seeing who's going to go up against which lineups.
That's really interesting, actually. That's good facts. Thank you, Duke. And that is spangled up against Crashlanders. Yeah, I think other than sort of Peregrine and Rogue tending to come out together, which makes sense. And there's Crashlanders with lead for Tiger Bay. And is that a star pass to Terry Sudrin? It does look like it.
Yeah, because Spangled has now become a blocker, and Terry is out with a star. And Tiger Bay just happy to get a 4 and call it off whenever they see Terry with that star.
Yeah, like you said, Tiger Bay playing another game immediately after this one. They don't need to take risks and try and run these jams for any longer than they need to.
I mean, this, as you were saying, we were just talking about jammer pairings, this is the consistent jammer pairing, which is Rogue and Peregrine. And it is 4-on-4 blocker complement for both teams. And they are squashing up on that jam line.
So Charismatic with the offense, right off the line, helping Rogue get out down that outside line. But Peregrine finds space on the inside. So Rogue not going to have a lot of time to capitalise on this lead.
And actually holds them to 0.
I'm so impressed, I'm slightly speechless.
So now we're seeing Angie for Tiger Bay lining up against, is that Tinkerbell? It is.
It is.
We've only got 8.5 minutes of this game to play. It's gone over so quick.
Gone so fast.
Tinkerbell feints to the outside, then to the inside, then back to the outside. Terry going to go offense, just tries to open up that hole through Nuka.
Pushing out at the front now. Tiger Bay forced to bridge, and that is lead again for Tinkerbell and Newcastle. Roller Derby flying around this track now, looking for points. Tiger Bay with only 3 blockers on the track. Nuka with a big drawback and
draws the cut. Brilliant move from Wild there.
That was really good. Completely understandable that went unnoticed by Tinkerbell. So power jam, this will be a 2-minute jam because Tinkerbell had lead. But Newcastle are giving Angie a lot of trouble. Take off, not the big recycle, but it enables Newcastle to just keep that tripod together. Tiger Bay trying to split them up. But the water falling and the reforming in there. I didn't even see that happen, but Evans has got the star. Tinkerbell back on track though, so great penalty kill from Newcastle.
Tinkerbell now just held up at that wall of orange at the front though. Newcastle is all over Tinkerbell. Now Tinkerbell managed to pop out the front and pick up that 4 points.
And we were talking earlier about how consistent Tiger Bay's roster and charter has been for the last several years. Nuka, obviously a new addition to the Tiger Bay charter, but has slotted right in as if they've been there forever. So despite the power jam, Newcastle actually ahead of Tiger Bay on points so far in this jam as Tinkerbell comes around looking to put up the third scoring trip. Angie still working on, sorry, not Angie, Evans working on the second scoring trip, and that's the end of the jam.
Evans has taken 4 of the 5 Tiger Bay star passes so far, so done brilliant work as a jammer, as much as being a pivot. And we get a Tiger Bay team timeout.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
So I'll give you a quick shout out again. Euroclash is powered by Clementine, your local reliable home services team. We believe in showing up, doing it right, and standing by our work, and we're excited to announce that Clementine will soon be launching home cover plans, giving you dependable protection all year round, so make sure you grab your exclusive discount codes today. And if you're in the north of England and you want some property work done, go and check out Clementine Services again. As I say, they've been amazing for sponsoring this whole event, and we hope to continue working with them through Newcastle Roller Derby in the future.
It's great. It's great to see local businesses supporting roller derby, grassroots sport. Should we give a quick shout out to our officials for this game?
Yes, please.
We have got Trash Panda, Oi You, Bane in the Ass, Sticks and Stoner, Errington, Fear Leader, Meg, Pretty Miffed, Emily of the State, Scary Biscuit, Iron Maven, Jean-Claude Grand Slam, Tara O, Major Buzzkill, Ginny, Martin McFly, Glenmore Angry, and Mercy B. Coop. Glenmore Angry might be my favourite derby name of the weekend.
Well, I'm going to just throw this out there. That was my idea.
And an excellent one.
When he was coming up with his derby name, it was either going to be Glen Livid or Glenmore Angry.
I approve. I think Glenmore Angry is great. So Eradicate up against Plant. Eradicate there again at the front. 2 blockers to beat. That is Charismatic and Ward. And that's another lead for Newcastle Roller Derby. So that team timeout taken by Tiger Bay actually gave Newcastle some opportunity to have a little breather and come back and get lead again. Plant pushing up at the front there, star in hand, but taken off to the outside. Both jammers being drawn back now. We'll have a little bit of backwards roller derby. So Eradicate getting back on track, finding that space on the outside. Tiger Bay reforming that tripod. Got a little bit of help from Pretty Skate Machine, and that's the first scoring trip completed for Newcastle.
So Plant has got the star in hand, but it doesn't like Charismatic's kind of making the moves to take the star pass. So it is purely just the star stash at this case, making Newcastle have to keep looking for that potential.
There was some quite good awareness when Caris did go to try to take the star as well, of actually, I think it was Pretty Skate Machine took Caris off the track and recycled her back.
5-point pickup in the jam for Newcastle. 46 plays 70. Under 5 minutes in this first period of Game 7 here at Euroclash 2026.
So Crash Landers and Spangled on the jam line. Don't be fooled by the fact that Spangled's name's flashing. The jam hasn't started, so nobody's got lead right now. We're just manifesting it. And tight pack there. Fast moving, but everybody tight together. Spangled looking for space down the middle. Crash Landers working on that outside line. And
Spangled just getting recycled to the inside of turn 1.
And another lead for Newcastle Roller Derby.
So we did, in fact, manifest that lead with a flashing at the start of the jam.
Oh, big tumble there. Take the jammer off, but Wild goes down as well. But Nuke is there with the run back. Great awareness. And we've slowed right down now. This isn't a slow motion replay. This is the speed games happening. And Evans just takes the star. And I'm not, has anybody noticed Evans has got the star now? That was such a casual star pass.
I think if you ever see Evans with the pivot cap on, you just assume Evans is going to become the jammer at some point now.
Yeah. I'd love to get a tally, actually, because some of our pivots have taken... There's been so many games for these teams, and some of the pivots have taken so many passes. I'd love to see a final tally across all the games, especially for kind of Evans, Terry Sudrin, Mia Missile from Bear. I think they're into double figures of star passes and points. So Hawk out with star. Is this the first jam we've seen Hawk out?
I think it is the first time we've seen Hawk jamming for Tiger Bay against Peregrine. So it's Peregrine versus Hawk. So for you bird fans at home, there's the bird of prey matchup you prayed for. And that wasn't an intentional pun to say prayed for either.
We'll take it though. Bonus puns.
So Kidd does knock Peregrine to the outside, but picks up the direction. Sorry, not direction play. I'm just waiting for the penalty that was there.
Cut. No,
yeah.
That's not cut. That's an illegal contact.
Yes, contact penalty.
We'll get there in the end. It was hit one by one, I think, with the direction.
Peregrine with lead for Newcastle, picks up 4 points on that trip. Terry Sudden with the recycle all the way back.
And again, Drama Bomb coming in with the offense, but Tiger Bay able to recycle Peregrine back.
And that Drama Bomb offense there just opens up that gap for Peregrine once again. So this foursome of Newcastle blockers really doing well in this jam on both the offense and the defense, because they've got Hawk locked in. Hawk now done the star pass to Charismatic, but Charismatic being held behind Hit One, Pearl One, and Catastic. Rolls on the inside of turn 3, gets out as the jam is called. Big 11-point pickup. We're now in an 8-point game, 62 plays 70 with a minute left in this first period.
This is absolutely huge for Newcastle, and I wanted to point out Peregrine's awareness in that jam of knowing exactly who was in front of them and who wasn't, and able to come back. 2 Tiger Bay blockers had gone back. Peregrine knew exactly where to come on track, and then was able to get out for that scoring pass. Didn't fall for it, and that's what you expect of jammer with that much experience.
And Tiger Bay using an official review as a timeout with 1 minute and 15 left. Good use of an official review if you want to have a breather.
Yep.
I do like that is a thing in the game now, because many years ago you would get bench coaches would come in and they would basically, because you had to ask a question as part of the official review, they'd come in and go, you know, the quantum mechanics of a hamster in a wheel in space, discuss. Just so they could buy 1.5 minutes of you standing around. Or they come in and make up a spurious call that they know hadn't happened, but they wanted to get that time on the clock. So when they brought in this whole, you can burn a time, an official review as a timeout, it was the greatest thing ever for the piece like me who were head reffing.
Yeah, shout out to Julia from Newcastle, who put a real shift in those 2 games yesterday. I really enjoyed watching Julia jam yesterday. Not playing in this game, but shout out to Julia.
And hello to everybody who's currently in that YouTube chat, chatting away. It's nice to see you all here and partaking.
Everybody was on the floor there.
Plant got lead, was chased out temporarily by Helen Drew, but managed to evade and get on that scoring trip. Now into the back of Terry Sudden and Hit One, Pearl One. Tinkerbell just using Helen Drew as a battering ram to try and push through that 3 at the wall. But now it comes to 2. Helen Drew on the offense. Just got Wild to beat, and now Tinkerbell is out on a scoring pass for Newcastle. Plant, meanwhile, bouncing around the inside of the turn 1-2 apex. Takes a knock to the outside by Terry Sudden and calls off the jam. 4 points picked up in that trip by Tiger Bay.
Plant getting lead so quickly, but Newcastle able to really shut that scoring trip down.
I'm trying to work out if I think we've got 1 second on the clock, so we might get Are we going to have enough time for another jam to start? We might do. It's going to be close. Nope.
I think that's the first time I've ever seen a jam end with exactly 30 seconds left on the period clock. I was really interested to see how that would go.
Yeah, and I was watching the clock and I was thinking that might be 1 second, but then the way the clock seemed to sync up with itself.
What an amazing first half. That is a 12-point game.
12-point game. So what was the prediction going into this? Because then wouldn't work out from here. So it was the predictor said 217 to 83 Tiger Bay favour.
So a 5-2 score ratio, which this is nowhere near.
I'm not that much of a maths wizard to work out the ratio of that, but it isn't. I mean, we're talking, as I say, 12-point game.
I mean, it's basically 6 to 7.
Yeah. So, I mean, outstanding performance by both teams, but Newcastle, I think have got the edge on this one. I know not score-wise, but just in terms of they're containing Tiger Bay a lot. Sure, Tiger Bay are getting those quick leads, and when they are getting lead, they're playing so savvy with it in terms of getting the force, shutting it down, They're forcing the star passes. Just the number of star passes we've seen from both teams shows the tactics that these teams are rolling out against each other here. We've mentioned it before. We're getting quite a lot of jammer experimentation, like different jammer matchups, with only, as I said, Peregrine and Rogue being the consistent pairings throughout that. But even then, we saw Hawk come in towards the end of the period to kind of be a bit of a relief jam.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the thing with jammer matchups, isn't it? Do you want to match your strongest jammer against theirs, but then your strongest jammer isn't building up those big scoring points because they're being shut down by that other jammer, even if they're coming out as lead. You know, sometimes maybe there's a benefit to switching that round. So it'd be really interesting to see what they do with that in the second half, what they go away and talk about, and what changes they make.
I'm looking forward to the second half because I think, again, if it goes the same way this is, I think hopefully we're going to get to a very interesting second period. And this is the kind of derby that we would like, where if the game at this point was, you know, following the predictor, it was 100 plays 40, I think we'd be in that stage where we're looking for things to talk about other than, you know, the scoring. But I think the fact that these teams are giving us so much to talk about with what's going on in track just shows the level of the European derby, and especially, you know, the kind of games we get at Euroclash here. I've been part of all the Euroclashes so far, and I love this setup. I love this dome. I love the teams we get here. I mean, huge shout. I know we're still half-time, but huge shout to Newcastle, just for the fact that not only are they playing this, but they're organising this. So when they're not on the track here, a lot of them are running around behind the scenes or organising things, moving things. So it's a great achievement for them to come here and then put up this kind of performance against a team like Tiger Bay. And again, you know, it's not a team where we can kind of go back through the history and say, you know, there's a strong rivalry between the two. So going into this, all we had really was the predictor and a score from a game 8 years ago. So predictions. We know what the WFTD predictor is. Where you see this going in the second half?
I knew that Newcastle were going to make Tiger Bay work really hard for this. I was expecting a bigger differential. I do wonder if Tiger Bay will pull it out a little bit in the second half. I wonder if they'll make changes, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Newcastle push this differential. I wouldn't be surprised if this is maintained, even if we get a lead change. Excellent.
So I think we've got Duke Special in our Euroclash studio, ready to give us a bit of rundown on some of the stats that Duke has been collecting throughout this game. So we will go live to Duke Special in just a moment. I think it's going to be Duke and Riggs, actually, and Riggs is going to be the one to give us all the rundown of what exactly this means.
That's a power combo.
So we're ready to go to Duke Special and Riggs in our Euroclash studio. 2 seconds. I'm going to have to go and do some... just go to an advert for 2 seconds, and I'm going to go and switch a camera on. This is the thing of being the THA and the guy who knows how to hit the
So that's been a fun first half.
It's a very intense weekend here at Euroclash. How was the game, kind of from a stats point of view?
From a stats perspective, it's really interesting. It's an incredibly even game. So Tiger Bay had the opening massive jam, 20 unanswered points. And I think maybe in view of Tiger Bay being 8th in the world and Newcastle currently sitting at 15th, everyone went, oh yeah, no, that's about what we expected. This will be the game. And then Newcastle, as they've done all weekend, went, no, I don't think so. It proceeded to have a phenomenal first half, pulled it back to a 12-point differential. They've been pretty 50-50, so 11 leads went to Tiger Bay, 10 leads to Newcastle. Like, they are so evenly matched, which is great news for Newcastle, but as...
Yeah, I have to say, if you're a Tiger Bay fan, I'm about to bring you some quite worrying news. So, Tiger Bay are, of course, the higher ranked team in this situation, which is great, except when you come up against a lower ranked team, because this is where the maths gets really tricky. Because the WFTDA algorithm expects a blowout, a bit like we all did at the beginning of that game. 20 points go up, right, okay, we get the idea, this is how this is going to go. But honestly, for Tiger Bay to maintain their GPA and that 8th position, which of course you want for seeding's point of view, they need to beat Newcastle by a ratio of 2.61 points to 1. So let me put that in terms that you and I understand. If Newcastle score 100 points, Tiger Bay must score 261 points to just maintain their GPA. So right now they're in the danger zone.
That's, I would say, 161 points more. It's quite a bigger chunk than a 12-point differential that we're currently seeing.
We've really seen Newcastle able to lock down on these jammers. Even the likes of Rogue are struggling to get those multi-passes through. Newcastle deploying the star pass
so much.
So well. You've got the likes of Drama Bomb out there taking the star. Terry Sudren has had an incredible weekend. But on top of that, Eradicate is rising to the challenge, I think, here.
Absolutely.
So it is a bit scary. The other reason that we talk about this is Tiger Bay have put all their eggs in one basket. We are keeping with our Easter theme there. And because they've played less games, they have less games to absorb the kind of differences that come in here, which is why it is a little bit more stressful.
So it puts more pressure on them to make those big differentials, maintain that.
Yeah, I'll imagine there's some folks in Barcelona right now with their calculators out, wondering if there's a possibility that 11-point GPA difference in the standings right now could possibly be swallowed up, and do they get a better place come Namur? I think you need to tune in for the second half, right?
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting second half of the game.
Yeah, I tell you, don't go anywhere. This is just the second game of 4 today. So stay with us here at the Walker Dome for Euroclash 2026.
So good morning, everybody. It is just about still morning, and welcome back to game 8. So second game on day 2 of Euroclash 2026. This is Newcastle Roller Derby, our hosts this weekend, up against Tiger Bay Brawlers from Cardiff in Wales. And this game is spicy.
It is indeed. And we've heard some amazing stats there from Duke and Riggs in our Euroclash studio there. Exactly what this means for Tiger Bay. And they're going to need to push this score differential out in this period if they want to try and keep that GPA in line with what's expected from them, so they can keep their ranking when we look to go for Namur in June.
So Rogue making a good start with that at the beginning of this jam. It did take 20 seconds or so for Rogue to pick up lead in this jam, so solid defensive work from Newcastle. Not really able to drop anyone on offense. Rogue is so fast around the track that you don't really have that kind of 9 or 10 seconds you'd have with another jammer to drop and do some offense and get back together again. Sometimes just an orange blur going around the track. That was a great take out there. I didn't see who that was. You probably are able to tell me who that blocker was that took Rogue back on the inside line there.
That was Smash, I think. Eradicate gets through the star in the hand, but the jam is called off.
So again, Newcastle able to hold Tiger Bay to just 4 points in that first jam of the second half. Oh, a little hug on the jam line from Plant and Peregrine on our Clementine Services jam line. Just had a little hug. That's why I love roller derby.
Penalty box is empty and they're all huddled up on that Clementine Services jam line.
You've jinxed it now.
Scrum start as neither jammer can move forward here because of that melange of blockers.
Bringing the French in, as we were talking about languages earlier. Yeah, we've barely made it past the jam line. Oh, and as we say, that Plant managing to find space on the outside, picking up second lead in this period for Tiger Bay. Peregrine with little dive around the outside. So again, Newcastle able to shut this down. Plant potentially with just one opportunity to pick up those 4 points. I think that was the full 4.
It might have been, yeah, it was 4. I wasn't sure if Plant had already picked up Pearl's point, but obviously had done so because Pearl was that last blocker in front. So 20 points the difference now. Opened up a bit. First couple of jams, Tiger Bay taking command of this, holding Newcastle scoreless for the first couple in period 2.
I think this first few jams is going to be really important to dictate how the rest of this half is going to go. So Spangled there, really fast footwork, keeping that wall moving, not allowing them to be able to dig in and put the brakes on. Big take out, but penalty called. And that's lead for Spangled and Newcastle. Angie now with star in hand, so that was Fraulein Katastic, picked up a forearm penalty there.
Smash and drama bomb holding Angie at the front of the bit of offense coming in.
And we talked about Tiger Bay's 2 walls, but that's quite a 2 wall as well, isn't it? Smash and drama bomb.
But Smash was smashed into the crowd there, which allowed Angie to get out. I think Spangled and Angie has been quite a consistent matchup in terms of jammer pairings as well. I think there's only one time where Spangled was on track. I think it was someone who wasn't Angie.
Duke's written us a little note to say so low scoring, and it is. We've seen quite a lot of that really heavy defence this weekend. Not quite as low scoring as Gothenburg Lom was when it was sort of 30 points each at half time yesterday, and we were all losing our minds. But very low scoring, very defensive game. But
the problem is if you're trying to build up a score differential and you're picking up 4 points, and then Newcastle comes back and picks up 6 points in a jam, you're already kind of getting your lead chipped away.
Yeah, Tiger Bay might need to start taking a little bit of a risk and running some of these jams long. Crash Landers picking up lead for Tiger Bay.
I mean, bear in mind that the 20-point lead that we've got here was pretty much picked up in the first jam. As we go to a power jam now, Tinkerbell picking up the cut track. So this might be Tiger Bay's opportunity with Crash Landers to stretch this score out a little bit more, which is what they need.
Tiger Bay just picking one blocker each there and trying to keep them apart, trying to make this easy for Crash Landers, but it is not. Again, Newcastle with that dynamic reforming. And this is the second, we saw this in the first half as well, we saw a great penalty shutdown from Newcastle, and this is the same again here, Crash Landers on the scoring trip, but forced to call the jam off. Had picked up all 4 on that scoring trip, so 8 points on the jam for Tiger Bay, but a 30-second power jam and only able to put up 8 points.
And that's the thing we said about Newcastle's blockers, is they've been so strong all weekend and they've been so good on the penalty kill that they're not allowing teams to get out and stretch them. And that's only our second power jam so far this game as well. So I think we saw that a few games yesterday, so few power jams and we had quite tight scorelines. But even when teams are getting power jams, they're not being allowed to capitalise on that. As we're back in with our familiar pairing of Rogue and Peregrine. Rogue out first, Peregrine about 20 feet behind.
Tiger Bay trying to hold a blocker at the back, just trying to sort of hold that point there for Rogue. Newcastle trying to get to the front.
And there was a forearm picked up. I'm just waiting to see who reports the box there. It looks like it's Charismatic for Tiger Bay. Picked up the forearms right at the end of that jam. So only 3 points picked up in the jam. And now Tiger Bay are going to be starting with one blocker down. It looks like we've got Eradicate and Plant are lining up on our Clementine Services jam line.
And Eradicate's had a great game so far, and again going up against 3 blockers rather than the 4. I mean, they are 3 great blockers. And the recycle back there on Plant, and that is Eradicate with lead for Newcastle as Plant looks for space on the outside. And there's Terry Sudren with the takeout. I think picked up a penalty for that.
Direction of gameplay picked up by Terry Sudren, but as we've said a few times, there are sometimes a penalty is worth it if it gets the jammer back into the pack, if it gets your jammer lead.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you do it deliberately, but it might mean you're a little bit less sad
You don't
about
mind
it.
the trade-off.
Yeah.
And then Eradicate calls off the jam. Looks like it's one piece in the pass and the trip, but 5-1 in the jam to Newcastle. 73 plays, 94, 23 minutes remaining in the game.
And this time it is Newcastle Roller Derby's turn to start with a pivot in the box. It says Drama Bomb. Oh no, it says Drama Bomb's in the box, but Drama Bomb's on track.
Yeah, Terry Sudren's sitting, so I think we've got a bit of a... Oh, there we go. It's been sorted in the official timeout. It's sorted itself out.
We're so used to Drama Bomb being the pivot that we just saw the pivot and went, well, Drama Bomb. It's the other one. It's Terry Sudren who's been pivoting the rest of the time. Still, Tiger Bay starting with a pack advantage on that back line.
Crash Landers gets the initial start, but Drama Bomb herding to the outside, smash with a follow-up. And now with the recycle.
And again, really good awareness. Drama Bomb couldn't be the one to recycle that time because Drama Bomb also went off track. Great offense from Enemy, but not quite quick enough. So Spangled is lead for Newcastle. Crash Landers is about 1.5 feet behind.
Spangled getting the message to run this. So the Newcastle bench is doing the little finger twirl in the air to say, let's get this moving. And Spangled closes it down now. That was a very fast pack. Neither jammer was catching. 0-0.
Did buy time to clear the penalty box and burned a little bit of time off the period clock for them.
So we're back to that 20-point lead, and I'm going to mention this 20-point lead every time back to that very first opening jam of the game where Tiger Bay picked up 20 points. If it wasn't for that jam, we'd be stalemate now. But then, to quote a famous Italian chef, if my granny had wheels, she'd be a bike.
So different jammer matchup than we've seen. Tinkerbell up against Rogue Runner. Rogue Runner finding space on the inside thanks to a little bit of help from Charismatic. Picks up lead and Tinkerbell taken out. Ooh, did we get another? Yeah, that was again Pip Gray with the drawback that went unnoticed That's the second time Tiger Bay have done that and drawn the cut.
It's great blocker awareness to see a jammer going and not go for the slow recycle, shoot out the back of the pack and just catch them unawares to get that cut.
So that was Terry Sudrin almost going to take a seat in the crash mats there and then being drawn all the way back to the back of the pack by Kidd.
Rogue was having a bit of trouble there behind Helen Drew, but finds a way around the outside.
So Tinkerbell now standing. Now is back on track, coming round. Tiger Bay setting up that tripod, ready to catch Tinkerbell. Rogue just having a little bit of difficulty with that. Whoa, almost stops to kind of reassess. Wait for the offense, which does come in from Kemp.
Some great offense from Kemp going in.
Somebody's got a penalty.
It's Charlotte Payne from Newcastle. Picks up the direction.
And again, we see Terry Sudrin take the jammer out and then quickly dip back. That switch takes the star pass, shuts the jam down. Rogue definitely looked like she'd had enough.
Terry Sudrin has put in a shift in this game, both as a blocker and a jammer. And I mean, even if you're not scoring points when you take that star pass, the fact that it shuts the jam down, I think, is just such a strategic element to have in your back pocket, to be able to throw that out and you're almost taking control back of the jam at that point.
Yeah, preventing the other team from scoring points is just as important as actually putting points on your own score. So that is Eradicate again with just one to beat at the front, and that's Nuka being joined there by Wild as Plant skims past for lead for Tiger Bay. And that one to beat at the front did become all four blockers from Tiger Bay, but Eradicate still managing to get through and again holding Tiger Bay to just 4. So Tiger Bay have broken the century 10 minutes into the second half.
Nice little hop across the apex as well by Plant on that last pass. But they were getting on the replay.
Thanks for pointing out that was a replay, because I'm quite tired and I was like, the jam's still going, but the jam was called off. Apparently the clock's going back has done some damage to me. We're just getting a little bit of track repair done. So even if Tiger Bay stay in the top 12 and make it to playoffs, that difference between being ranked and potentially seeded, the seeding hasn't been done yet. We would sort of assume it to follow rankings, but it maybe not, I don't know. And we don't know how matchups and how brackets will work, but essentially the higher ranked you are, you would then get a lower ranked team to play first, which is what you want. So Rogue up against Peregrine. We've got an empty penalty box. Pack's already made it to the pivot line, and Rogue has made it round the outside for lead for Tiger Bay. Arms pumping, flying around the track now, coming to score some points.
So Tiger Bay are currently sitting on a 2-to-1 lead ratio. So they're picking up lead more than Newcastle, more double than Newcastle have in this period now.
I feel like when Newcastle have had lead, they've had bigger scoring, multiple scoring trips, whereas Tiger Bay have quite often been held to 4. So star pass again to Terry Sudrin.
Just going to give a shout out to Chemical in the YouTube comments saying, how are Newcastle? I think still qualifies as Newcastle's longest serving referee. I don't know when he last put his stripes on though, so.
So Tiger Bay have one blocker in the box, that's Kidd, but only with a couple of seconds to serve. I could see Kidd between jams doing that. I've only got 2 seconds, but that's long enough for Spangle to pick up lead, and Spangle comes round with a smile on her face.
Crash Landers just stuck behind Drama Bomb, trying to find some space to get a bit of offense. But now we've got Nuka, Kidd and I think is that Wild going back to pick up Spangled. Smash comes in on the offense.
Newcastle calling off the jam. 3 points on that trip, though, for Newcastle. So we're seeing a lot of this from Newcastle, kind of lining up near the pivot line and then rolling back at 5 seconds.
I think it stops Tiger Bay though from because when they have lined up on the jam line, we've seen Tiger Bay doing that skater to skater marking on them where they're sitting on them and we get that crush at the start. Unfortunately, it's still going against Roadrunner, who is out with the lead now for Tiger Bay. Eradicate just been knocked to the outside hard.
And that's I think another forearms penalty for Kidd for the takeout on Eradicate. But again, like we said earlier, it's forced Eradicate to have to recycle and reset back behind that tripod.
Multiplayer for both Kemp and Kidd, who've gone in quick succession to the box. But Eradicate not being able to take advantage of that pack advantage from Newcastle because of the fact that Rogue is taking all those blockers' attention. Rogue now being recycled through the inside to start that scoring trip again. Gets knocked to the outside by Charlotte, a pain, and dumped on the ground. Kemp now back in to support for the blockers. And Kidd also back, so we're back on as we get yet another star pass to Terry Sudren.
And Rogue there just catching the Newcastle blockers napping slightly at the end of that jam, able to scoot down the inside, make absolutely certain of the 4 points on that scoring trip. Again, that felt like quite a long jam, and yet we only saw 4 points up for Tiger Bay.
And we've gone to a team timeout called by Newcastle. There's a score standing 76 to 119. Newcastle have only put 3 points on the board in the last 6 jams.
Yeah, it looks like Tiger Bay have had, is that 4 out of the last 5 leads as well? So, yeah, very smart, sensible choice from Newcastle to just take a bit of a timeout and try and break this run from Tiger Bay. Tiger Bay haven't extended that lead slightly, not by loads. I think that's... oh, my maths has absolutely failed me. 20 plus 24. It's about a 40-point lead. Well, Terry Sudren has taken every Newcastle roller derby star pass in this game, so none to drama bomb yet. Drama Bomb had a couple of star passes yesterday where then either there was jammer penalties or jams were run long and was forced to not just do the take the star, do a lap, get a photo, force the call off, had to actually do the cardio bit as well. And did a very good job of it. So we've
just gone to an official timeout. I think we're just, we might just be swapping a referee in.
So our next game today is Tiger Bay again versus Gothenburg. So again, this is a big game for Tiger Bay, the next one. They need that big differential again. Gothenburg will be looking to come out. I think the GPA gap between them and Lom, they're obviously sitting in 13th place. So this is kind of Gothenburg's opportunity now to come out and try and sort of their last chance really to try and wangle their way into that 12th position. Peregrine sort of almost being a bit defensive there and supporting the wall, helping to try and push Plant off track, but it has not stopped Plant from picking up lead for Tiger Bay.
Big hit from Enemy to knock Peregrine to the inside. And great awareness by Peregrine to know that Wild isn't an eligible blocker for a cut. So just takes that no earned pass, or no pass, no penalty.
Oh, and Peregrine will have picked up some points there right at the end of that jam. 3 points up for Peregrine and just 1 for Plant. So 5 points in the jam altogether for Tiger Bay, but 3 for Newcastle. And Tiger Bay starting the next jam with Wild and Enemy in the penalty box. Angie and Spangled on the Clementine Services jam line, and a very quick lead jam state is picked up by Spangled. Angie still with a full blocking contingent from Newcastle to deal with. Taken to the outside by Terry Sudren, who does pick up a forearms for it, though. First scoring trip picked up by Spangled in the blink of an eye. Oh, great toe stop work round the outside from Angie for the 4-point scoring trip. Newcastle opting to run this jam long now.
And as you say that, Spangled calls off the jam.
Do you ever just feel like you shouldn't say things?
But a big pickup though for Newcastle on that one, 8-4. So 128 plays 87, but as we've been saying all the way through this, the big thing is that, and you know, I'm going to credit Riggs for putting this in my head at half-time there. There's this 2.61 point score differential that Tiger Bay needs to get to give them a good chance in the seeding for Namur in June.
I really enjoyed reading the Euro Derby News explanation of how GPA works a couple of days ago.
Okay, great 2-all smash and Catastic just holding up Crash Landers at the front. Meanwhile, at the back, though, Eradicate is also being held up by Evans.
Crash Landers, I think, had that very upsetting experience of being very nearly out at the front when 4 Newcastle blockers rematerialised.
Nuka going up on the offence, but there's 4 Newcastle blockers swarming Crash Landers now with the recycle all the way back. Terry Sutton as we get a power jam, cut track to Eradicate, but Crash Landers is still being held at the back, walked all the way back to turn 2 and being held in behind Smash and Terry Sudren.
And we've seen Newcastle with the penalty shutdown more than once in this game. Crash Landers' 3rd game of this weekend. Only 30 seconds left in this jam, and that's a big recycle back there.
And we haven't had lead yet, so no one... So it's not like Crash Landers can call off this jam and freeze Eradicate, who's now back out and returning to track.
No, and at this point with 14 seconds left in the jam, even if one of these jammers gets out and completes the initial, there's not going to be a lot of time left for point scoring, so...
We said that before, we said this before in the game earlier about Newcastle and their penalty suppression, and that was a perfect example of how you kill a penalty for 30 seconds, just controlling the jammer, recycling long, perfect.
I think that might be the first jam we've had all weekend where nobody got lead. Except, well, when nobody completed the initial pass. I think we've had star passes.
Yeah, we've had like not leads, but no one completes the initial pass.
Double sad emu.
Some eagerness to get going there.
Oh, Rogue, I just want to play roller derby.
But it's Rogue and Peregrine we're going to see next. So all being well, this next one will be their whistle.
Do you think the Peregrine versus Hawk jam was just a little treat for us?
Yeah, I think so.
Bench coaches getting together before the game, and so slow start again. Both jammers just waiting, almost as if to say, "You go, no, you go."
Rogue tries the inside, but finds Terry Sudren waiting.
Of course, England roller derby teammates there, Rogue and Terry Sudren. And Peregrine finds space on the outside. Kemp not able to get there quick enough to shut that down. So that is lead for Newcastle. Rogue now with the star stash. Looking for Charismatic, who is the pivot and has got the star. That was a really good sneaky star pass as well. I liked that.
Tiger Bay, one blocker down. Pip Gray in the box for a forearms. As Peregrine calls off the jam after picking up 4.
So only 9 minutes left in this period, game 2. So Spangled up against Plant. Spangled straight down the outside line, looking for offense from Pretty Skate Machine. Oh, nearly. Oh, Evans was... And great awareness again. Evans went off track. You can't, if you're the initiator, you can't regain superior position. So Spangled able to get on, but gets the no earned pass. So not eligible for lead, but can still score points. So Plant's got lead. Makes sense while Spangled is still stuck in the pack, rather than calling the jam off immediately, for Plant to come around and see if actually let's get some points as well.
So Spangled just got Evans, but Evans pushed to the inside. Great move. Maintains position on track as well. So
almost a replay of that first trip through the pack, but this time Evans managing to stay in.
So now there we see Plant picking up those 4. Spangled being recycled back to turn 2 again. So Tiger Bay opting to run this as we get a big hit out from Drama Bomb, who takes Nuka and Plant off the track.
So Plant has effectively lapped Spangled now, so has put the first 4-point scoring trip on and is working on the second. Everybody's going back to the jam line.
And that's a long recycle. That's a 3/4 of a track recycle for Plant, and Spangled still getting recycled all the way back by Wild to turn 4.
So Plant putting the second 4-point scoring trip on the board for Tiger Bay now. And I think this is what I was saying about take this little risk now. Actually opportunity to put up some good points here. Great bit of offense from Evans on the inside line to just open the door for Plant.
Tiger Bay stretching their legs and the points here.
Spangled at the end of the jam there, I think, noticed that the clock was running out and just said to all the Newcastle blockers, just run away.
Yep.
Run away.
Don't be a point. But Tiger Bay picks up 12 in the jam. Newcastle, so Spangled did have 3 in the pocket for most of that jam.
That's a huge jam for Tiger Bay. They've had one other 12-point jam in this half, but everything else has been 1 scoring trip or 2. So Rogue and Eradicate. Eradicate going down the outside line again right at the beginning of the jam, looking for space on the inside. We've got penalties, a cut track penalty for Eradicate. And again, I think that was Pip Gray who drew that.
Rogue tries the inside but gets knocked in. Comes up face-to-face, Charlotte Payne, then moved out by Terry Sutherland and Helen Drew, but available to get through on the inside, picks up lead for Tiger Bay.
That would look like a great little set play there with the distraction offense from Kidd coming in, take the whole pack to the outside, and then everyone else able to come back in and do the sweep on the in. Tumbles on the outside line. Rogue with a big drawback.
Eradicate back to track now. Power jam ends.
And that looks like a cut track penalty being called on Rogue. So this jam will run the full 2 minutes. Rogue did sit with enough time left that will come out of the penalty box before the end of this jam. Nobody can call it off. But again, haven't even completed a full scoring trip in that power jam.
Is this Newcastle's first power jam of the game? I don't recall there being a power... Yeah, I'm getting a nod. It's Newcastle's first power jam. Let's see how good they are on the power jam, because we know they've been excellent on the penalty kill. Because even there, that previous power jam that Roadrunner had, Newcastle only allowed 1 pass.
Didn't even manage to complete that scoring trip when they picked up the cup because the points haven't gone on the board yet. I did think yesterday that but I think it was against Gothenburg. Newcastle's power jam offense wasn't quite coming off.
In fact, Newcastle only allowed 3 points in that, as we get a replay here of Eradicate picking up lead. Oh, sorry, picking up a 4-point pass on the outside.
So big cheers from the crowd for Crashlanders.
We're going for an official review called by Tiger Bay. So we'll wait and see what this is about. Normally I'm quite good at spotting what something might be about, official review-wise, but no idea. There was nothing in that jam that stood out to me as being, official review-worthy, but we'll see what they're going to ask for.
And Rogue's out of the box, so it won't be to get Rogue's penalty rescinded, I wouldn't have thought, because that's been served now, so that won't impact the game.
And I've been told not to speculate wildly about these, so I'm just going to sit here and not say anything and see what the official verdict is.
I can wildly speculate in my head, right?
Yeah, in your head, that's perfect. You can do a lot of things in your head. No law against that at the moment. But we'll take this time quickly to tell you again about Clementine Services, who are sponsoring Euroclash. So Euroclash is powered by Clementine, your local reliable home services team. We believe in showing up, doing it right and standing by our work, and we're excited to announce that Clementine will soon be launching home cover plans, giving you dependable protection all year round, so make sure you grab your exclusive discount code today. So this is where we're behind, you see, because the head refs are telling the crowd in-house first. So we'll find out what this official review is. We'll send a roving reporter.
Yeah, Iron Maven's come to let the crowd know what the request was, and the officials are now discussing it in a huddle in the middle. So it's nice, and I can see the bench from Tiger Bay also chatting with the bench and captain from Newcastle. They're not standoffish and standing apart. They're having a lovely chat together.
Well, I mean, obviously Helen Drew, quite well known with a lot of the Tiger Bay players, because Helen Drew, of course, played for Wales several times at World Cup level.
I did not know that.
Previously used to skate, I think in the first World Cup skated under the name Jin and Sonic, and I think the last one when she played she was under the name Helen Drew.
Okay.
But Helen Drew has skated for Wales, so knows a lot of the Tiger Bay players, and again has been around Derby since early 2010.
That's of course why Tiger Bay in the Euro Derby News interview putting all their eggs in one basket with this tournament, because so many of them were on Team Wales and focused on the World Cup.
So that official review was Tiger Bay believed they had got all 4 points before Rogue went at the box, but the official decision was no, it was a 3-point pass, therefore only 3 points recorded. And again, a great example of that penalty kill by Newcastle, only holding Rogue Run at 3 points in a power jam. But we're back now. Crashlanders picking up the lead against Peregrine as Evans picks up the multiplayer block in the pack. Peregrine out now, star in hand.
That was a huge hit from Drama Bomb. Crashlanders manages to get through, but again Newcastle just holding Tiger Bay to 4 points as we go into the last few minutes of this game. So Evans in on a multiplayer. That will give Newcastle an advantage at the beginning of this jam. Spangled on the Clementine Services jam line. Looks like we're going to get Rogue Runner for Tiger Bay.
Spangled against Rogue Runner, and Spangled out the blocks first, picks up the lead for Newcastle. Rogue Runner just been bounced around and pinballed by Charlotte Payne, Helen Drew and Terry Sudren. No pack called, so Rogue is allowed out of the engagement zone now.
That was straight up the line for Spangled at the beginning of that jam, wasn't it? And then Rogue nearly out, but just took a little bit of a tumble. And again, Newcastle blockers, as if by magic,
And that jam was so short. Evans is still in the box from the previous jam, but now standing. So Newcastle made good work of that blocker advantage in that one to get spangled out, as we're going to start with Eradicate and Plant in this next jam.
Lots of really dynamic jam starts in this game, and everyone kind of moving around, waiting till the last minute to set up. Evans coming in out of the box now, looking for the offense, but Eradicate with lead for Newcastle. That was a sort of slightly odd tripod of 4 people from Tiger Bay. And penalty going to Nuka. Eradicate able to take advantage of that moment and complete that scoring trip.
Plant is looking for the star pass to Evans, but Evans has just been held at the front, pushed away by Pretty Skate Machine.
And of course, now that they've lost Nuka to the penalty box as well, not able to leave free on offense, but that is the star pass completed to Evans. So one last little opportunity for Eradicate to get some points.
Nothing in that trip.
And that is a sea of red there on our score overlay, with 2 blockers from Newcastle in the penalty box, 1 from Tiger Bay. Still Nuka standing, but the 2 blockers from Newcastle both sitting. This is potentially going to be the last jam of the game, I would think.
And we've also got Drama Bomb queued for a penalty, picked up a direction right at the end of that jam, but with the penalty box being full, Drama Bomb has to start on track and will be sent to the penalty box as soon as a seat becomes available. So we've got a potential here for Terry Sutherland to be the only blocker on track for at least a few seconds. There we go.
I mean, if you had to only have 1 blocker on track, Terry Sutherland's a fairly solid choice. Peregrine there still 4 blockers from Tiger Bay.
Fantastic comes back for Newcastle to Bolster, followed by Pretty Skate Machine as Kid Kid goes to the box now.
Peregrine with a big being recycled there. Again, that awareness from Peregrine of like, I'm not falling for your games, Pip Gray. You weren't ahead of me. I don't have to come on behind you. So he completes that initial, picked up a cut track. So maybe this time Pip Gray did have superior position. So Peregrine going to the box, but that is the end of the end of the game, potentially end of the jam. This is an unofficial score. Was there time left on the period clock?
No, we did go. That jam ended on the unofficial end of the game, so we're waiting for the score to be official. But it looks like it's going to be 154 to Tiger Bay, 150 to Newcastle, which isn't that far away from the score from when they met in 2018, if I remember rightly, 165, 115. So, if anything, Newcastle have bettered their the score differential from that last meeting, but it's nowhere near the 2.61 that differential that Tiger Bay really needed to try and secure that higher seeding spot. But I think we've still got 2 games that are going to play into the seedings. I'm not going to speak too much on that because that's not my thing and that's Riggs' thing, and I'll just basically say something that doesn't make sense. But an amazing game. I think if I'm going to sum that game up in like the story of the game, it's Newcastle's blockers.
It's got to be Newcastle's penalty shutdowns.
Yep.
I've been so impressed by Newcastle Roller Derby this weekend. So impressed by the tournament as well. Thank you so much for having me.
And we get another opportunity to see Newcastle later on, last game of the day, playing Lom. So we'll see if they can continue to impress in their home venue, the home of Euroclash, the Walker Dome, one of my favourite venues. You know, we'll forgive all its years of leaky roofs and odd floors and various other bits and bobs. We still love it here. We still love Euroclash. And we're going to get ready to go straight across to our studio for some actual in-depth analysis and some numbers that make sense, as we're going to go back to Riggs and Duke Special in our Euroclash studio. Just getting the nod for when they're ready.
to rumble. So that was a really exciting second half of that game. Nail biting. It was, I think it was a little bit more what we expected. It was more balanced towards Tiger Bay in terms of the stats. They had a much higher, a 2-1 lead percentage. But what this means for Newcastle, they didn't take the win, but they are still going to climb 2 places in the rankings, 19th up to 17th provisionally. Off the back of this, it looks like Tiger Bay will stay at 8th, but what does that mean for us going towards postseason?
Well, it's really interesting because this actually now makes this afternoon a really big afternoon. So if you thought you were going somewhere this afternoon, cancel all of those plans because Tiger Bay are coming up next and they are facing off against Göteborg.
Yes.
So Göteborg are sitting in 13th.
Yeah.
They are desperately, desperately close to that 12th place invite,
Yeah.
but Lom are obviously holding that up. And so for Göteborg, they are playing Tiger Bay, who are 8th, which means for them, they get some real bonus points if they can do any kind of damage against Tiger Bay. And in the nicest possible way, Tiger Bay are going into back-to-back games.
Yeah.
At the end of, a long weekend, which there was a big game yesterday where they lost a core component of that Tiger Bay Brawlers. A big shout out to Dos Santos. Hope all is well and you're doing okay. But that's a big loss for such a consistent team.
Tiger Bay also missing Geordie today. Unfortunately, they were unable to play the second day, so Tiger Bay are, I think, feeling that.
Yeah, and so fatigue's going to come into this. The mental game, expecting to maybe do a little better against Newcastle than they've done. You're going to have to be really strong in your head. But let's talk about what's coming up next. So Tiger Bay playing Göteborg. So if Göteborg can use their fresh legs, and they've just had a lovely chance to sit up there, watch Tiger Bay, have that struggle, see what's not working for them. So they're coming into this with a really good edge, all right? If they can pull off, for example, only losing by like 20 points, it's going to be a massive, massive upset. And it really puts all of the pressure back on Lommen, who have to face our hosts that we've just seen play incredibly well. We've seen penalty kills like nobody's business.
Consistently, all weekend, Newcastle came in as the lowest ranked seed. They're the hosts. It was like, they're going to have a nice time, maybe get some rankings. Newcastle have come in and gone, no, we're going to upset every single prediction you could possibly make. We're going to play like I don't quite know what.
Yeah, the jeopardy is real this afternoon, and until it's all over and done with, we won't know.
Yeah.
If you keep an eye on the WFTDA live beta rankings, you can see the movement that's happening right now, and you can see what the possible outcomes of all of this are. But essentially, there's a real opportunity here for Göteborg and Lom to make some serious drama this afternoon, but a real opportunity also for Tiger Bay to kind of show some steel, show why they're number 8 in Europe, and really hold the line.
Cement that place in
I will bet you Barcelona and Helsinki are watching very, very closely because 9 and 10 are only like 12 GPA points behind.
Yeah.
Oh, Euro Derby, you are gorgeous and exciting, and we are here for the postseason at Euroclash.
It's going to be such an exciting postseason, an exciting day. Don't go anywhere. Cancel your plans. Watch all of this really amazing roller derby live from the Walker Dome in Newcastle.
Yeah, we're going to let Tiger Bay just catch their breath very quickly, but then we will be back on with them versus Göteborg, a roller derby. Join us for that very shortly. Thanks for being with us here in the Walker Dome for Euroclash 2026. Okay, probably less intimidating. We are live with Sprints and Steph from Tiger Bay Brawlers, who are joining us after a very stressful and exciting game for those of us at home. How was that for you guys?
We had a great time. It was really fun. They're such fun and friendly opponents. Big hits, big swings. It was nice to see our strategy being executed in the way that we were wanting. So yeah, it was a great game. Really enjoyed it.
So we're obviously all watching this with the top 12 in mind, and you guys, as we know, all eggs in one basket. You've been doing a lot, the World Cup's taken a lot away from it. So how do you think you're coping with all of that pressure? Are you even thinking about that pressure?
I mean, it's always in the back of your mind, isn't it? But we've set ourselves a goal to get to European champs. That's the thing we want to do. We haven't been particularly precious about where we end in that top 12. And this weekend for us was all about learning and growth and thinking about what we might need to keep working on. It's not about being perfect. You know, the peak we want to aim towards is June. So this weekend we might not come out a positive on every single game that we play, but this was all about building us on the path to getting there.
Lovely. I like that, aiming for the peak in June so you can do the damage then. I guess our fans will want to know how you're coping with, some of the changes from yesterday to today. Geordie obviously had a fantastic game yesterday. Probably a little bit sad not here today. And obviously we've all sending our love to Dos Santos. I'm hoping all's well. But how are you as a team coping with those changes?
As a team, I think it's just really important when things are tough like that you just come together and do it for each other. Like, we know that they're with us even if they're not able to be in the room and on the track. So we're just working really hard at keeping ourselves focused and not letting ourselves lose the fun. Because I think when you lose the fun, that's really when you start to think, what are you here for? So trying to keep it focused but fun.
Yeah, we did an exercise this morning to kind of get to remind ourselves why we're here. So we've all got our own personal motivations for playing roller derby. We don't do it because it's horrible. Like, some of our skaters travel a really long way to play with us, and there's something that personally drives each and every one of us to be here. And for a lot of people, that is having fun with our friends. And that's the thing we've really tried to remind ourselves about this morning, and to take that kind of sort of lightheartedness and fun throughout the whole of today.
I think that is fantastic. So you're up against Göteborg next, who are in the agonising 13th place, and obviously they have a lot to benefit coming up against you. The GPAs, all the maths fans will be with their calculators. I'm sure Barcelona and Helsinki are doing the maths right now. Have you got anything in store for Göteborg that you can tell us about? Have you done anything to adapt or prepare for them?
I can't give away our secrets.
No.
We're just going into this to have a lovely time, to keep practicing our strategies. That's the thing we really wanted to work on. We've done a lot of strategy work over the last few months, and this is our ideal opportunity to try it on other people, because when you try it on your own team, they all know what you're going to do, and it's really hard.
Excellent stuff. So you're going to have to watch the game to find out how Tiger Bay are going to handle Göteborg. Big thanks to Sprints and Steph for joining us here. Good luck in your next game. Thank you very much. And we are going to be joined by Newcastle now. So we're swapping in and out. Hello, how are you doing?
Really, really good.
Tell me how that felt.
Actually, like a dream come true. We didn't anticipate that sort of game at all. So we just feel like we've learned a lot as the weekend's been progressing, and we've just been like rising with the level of the teams we've been playing. So it's been really exciting.
What do you think it was that really helped you out there with Tiger Bay? I mean, we saw Eradicate having a fantastic game.
Yeah.
Terry's a drone.
Oh, always a killer.
So we're seeing some great consistency from you. But
yeah.
Was there anything you felt that really helped you out there today?
I think we're like leaning into what we know we're best at, which is defence, and actually just trying to play a simple game, not making it too complicated.
Yeah, and we saw you do some great penalty kills.
Yeah.
So you are in an exciting position this afternoon. Göteborg are taking on Tiger Bay next. They can put some real pressure on Lom, who are obviously hanging on to 12.
Yeah.
And you could potentially come and spoil the party a little bit later on. So are you looking forward to coming up against them?
Yeah, so excited. We all know French teams are the teams to watch. So playing against that style of like really fast, kinetic roller derby is very, very exciting.
Yeah. And you had a bit of a taste of that at Skate Around 7 with Som as well.
Yes.
So you are really matching yourself
Yes.
and pushing yourselves forward. So
yeah.
It's been great to see from you guys. And I think you've already gone up 2 points in the rankings, the live rankings right now.
Oh, wow,
so you're currently up to 17th, Newcastle are. So Been a good weekend.
Been brilliant.
Thank you so much
Thank
for taking
you.
the time to join us
Yeah,
today.
thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Well, folks, that is a big afternoon of roller derby still to come. Tiger Bay versus Jotterberg in, minutes. Oh, you've got a while. You can go and get a sandwich or something. Come back and join us. And then Lom are going to take on our host, Newcastle, at the end of the day. Euroclash 2026. Why would you be anywhere else?